Guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. It's been a long time since I've been sat in this spot just talking about books, not doing a vlog or being radio silent. Yeah, it's been a long time, but I'm so excited for today's video. We are going to be doing an August TBR. I have so many books for this month and I'm very excited about it. Oh, it's turned the wrong way, but you know, that's okay. Well, we'll go through them all. I'm so excited for this TBR, guys. 10 books. It's not too many, but I think that's pretty good. I've already read 2 books and it's only the 5th. So I figured I need to get on it and get this video out so that, you know, the month is flying already, guys, so I need to hurry up. But I feel like I've been in an on and off book slump for so long, honestly, but a lot this year. It's just been very on and off. I feel like I was better at the start of the year and then I kind of fell off. So I'm really excited that these past few days or weeks I've been feeling that like urge and that renewal to prioritize my reading and get off my freaking phone. And I've still obviously been on my phone and that's been a habit that I'm trying to break, but I've been a lot more successful with reading and getting back into audiobooks even. And I'm just overall, I'm feeling optimistic and I'm having a lot more success with my reading and prioritizing it and focusing. So yeah, anyway, we don't even have time for me to ramble because we have so many books to talk about. So let's get into it. The first book I want to talk about is the book that I'm currently reading. Actually, I literally just started this book yesterday and I'm already on page 272 and it's kind of an unexpected read for me. So by Hugh Howey, this is book 1 in the Silo series. This is a science fiction novel set in this like dystopian Brave New World type of setting. Kind essentially being put into this silo. The outside world is essentially deemed toxic and everyone has to go and live in this silo, and it's kind of set up like the caste system of the world. Like everyone at the bottom that's like at the very underground, I guess, you have to go like down these stairs. It takes you days to travel down, and essentially at the bottom is like the people live down there that are like the mechanics and healthcare people that worked in factories, people that, you know, essentially the like backbone, I would say, of the work industry live at the very bottom. They essentially get like no interaction with the outside world. They don't even get to see it because they're so far underground and it takes them so long to get up the stairs, this like spiral stairs. I just love how it is like this representation of the caste system, essentially, like lawmakers and politicians and, you know, law enforcement are all up on the very top and they get this view of the outside world and they really don't have to travel anywhere because they have everything they could possibly need up at the very top. And it's so true of the world. But this follows our main character, Juliet, who is a mechanic. She has lived at the very bottom, and after the former sheriff has left in a terrifying ritual, she ends up being promoted to sheriff from the mayor, and essentially anyone who is kind of rebels or tests the lawmakers and tries to like say anything against them or try to bring about a new order, they are punished by being sent out to clean or go out into the outside world, and they're put out into these suits which end up breaking down and then they perish. This newfound power, and with it kind of she starts to unravel all of these conspiracies and starts to figure out things that like maybe things aren't quite as they seem, and through that she kind of starts to endanger herself, obviously, because there are people that don't want her to know the things that she's starting to figure out. And I just think it's so true of the world. I think that it's so interesting, and I'm not a big science fiction person, but I feel like this book is so easy to read, so easy to understand, so digestible, and it feels educational and so interesting. And I'm like, one of my favorite fantasy genres, I guess you could say, would be dystopian. So I'm really enjoying it so far. I'm obviously whizzing right through it. I would love to finish it today. I don't know if that's gonna happen, but it's really good, so I wouldn't be surprised. Is Magic Hour by Kristen Hanna. This is set in the Pacific Northwest, like the Olympic National Forest. It's basically just like impenetrable darkness. We follow our main character, Dr. Julia Cates, who is a child psychiatrist who has just moved back to her hometown, and she's kind of just trying to get her footing and figure everything out. She ends up discovering this lost and helpless child in this forest, and she ends up taking her in and naming her Allison, just trying to help her out as much as she can to find a home. She ends up getting help from her estranged sister and this local police. I'm really excited for this one too, because I'm actually going on a girls trip with my mom and my sister this month, and we are going to read this book together, and I'm really excited. I don't know if we're going to read it necessarily on the trip, but we are going to read it and talk about it together, and it's going to be kind of like a book club, which I've always wanted to do. But my mom and my sister and I didn't always read the same types of books, but recently we have been, and I've been swapping a lot of books with my mom and sharing books with her, and it's just been really fun to get into, so I'm really excited. And this book has been on my TBR for a while, so I'm really glad that we can all read it together and talk about it. The next book I am planning to read is The Maid by Nita Prose. This book I actually started, and I want to say I got like halfway through it. I don't know why, but I just suddenly stopped reading it, put it back on my shelf, pretended like it wasn't even like a book I was in the middle of. So I really want to get it off my shelf, and I also just want to read it again. And as I was kind of like looking back through it, like I didn't forget what was happening, but I kind of did, because I just stopped in the middle of it, and it's been months, probably like a year since I read it. So this book follows Molly Gray, who is, she's kind of is not like everyone else. She has social issues with social cues, and her social skills are just not the best. She has trouble like reading people's intentions. Her grandmother had always kind of helped her navigate the world and helped her with like these social settings, but her grandmother ends up passing away, and she kind of just throws herself into work. She's a hotel maid, and she just really enjoys like restocking her cart and like following the rules and like making sure that everything is just super orderly. And it's kind of just her way of taking control over like things that she can, because obviously she struggles a lot socially, so that kind of holds her back from like certain things, kind of holds her back in a way. So having this control over keeping everything clean and keeping her work super well done is very important for her mental state. And one day she ends up going into this suite of this extremely wealthy and important man, Charles Black, and she ends up finding his room in disarray and him unalive in the bed. And she ends up being thrown into the case and being investigated by the police, and just kind of having these interviews. And as they're talking to her, because she has such like a hard time with social skills, they end up thinking that she's sketchy and that she might have something to do with it, and she kind of becomes like their number one suspect. And because she struggles socially, she doesn't really have a way of like defending herself or knowing what to do. There's no way to like say, you know, prove that she didn't do it, because they don't know who did it. So her friends and fellow coworkers at the hotel end up kind of coming together to try and help find who killed this man, so that they can help their friend Molly not be a suspect anymore, because they know that she didn't do it, but they don't really have a way of proving it without finding who did it. So I really like this book. I think that it's going to be, I'm really excited to see the conclusion, because I did get like halfway through it, but I am going to restart it because I don't remember every detail, and I think that it'll just be easier that way. We have Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. This one I'm so excited for. I had heard kind of mixed reviews about this book, so this one I had seen it at the bookstore so many times, and I'd been like, ooh, should I get that? Like I was kind of drawn to it, but for some reason I wouldn't grab it. And then one of my friends had just read this, and she was obsessed with it. She said it was so good, and I just kept seeing her talk about it. I was like, I have to literally order it online right now, because I just want it so bad. So this is one that I am putting at the priority top of the TBR list. I have to. It sounds so good. It follows up the story of this boy who is born to a teenage single mom, and just follows his entire life as he goes through the struggles of childhood trauma in the foster care system, being in like delinquent schools and tough situations, and child labor and drug addiction and failed relationships. And it kind of just follows him as he essentially just has to make his way and just kind of have this like fierce and witty personality to get him through the world. And how this book is actually inspired by Charles Dickens' David Copperfield, hence the name, which is a book about his own experiences and how he translated them in this book to his own life as a survivor of institutional poverty, and just how damaging it is for children in society to go through. It grows up and it ends up damaging them in their future, and you know, getting a job and drug addiction and relationships and just like social skills and like fitting into society at all, and how damaging that is. And I think that this book is just going to do so much representation. I feel like it's going to be very educational, and I don't know why, I'm just like in an intellectual mood and I want to read books that are going to foster that right now. So although this is a fictional book, I think it's going to be really good, and I think it'll be very emotional. Next book I have is House of Salt and Sorrows by Erin A. Craig. This book is set in a manor by the sea where 12 sisters are cursed. It follows Annalee, who is living this sheltered life at Highmore with her sisters. To be 12 of them, but 4 of them tragically died in different ways. Each of them worse than the last one, and Annalee ends up being haunted by like these ghostly visions, and she is kind of essentially just trying to figure out what happened. She's becoming suspicious of her sister's deaths and what the intentions were, or if they were actually accidents at all, or if there's something more suspicious about it. Her sisters are essentially like sneaking out every night to go to like these balls, and they're dressing up, and it's just, this seems like very like hush hush, like dark hallways and like kind of spooky, but like also exciting. And Annalee isn't sure whether she should like try and stop them to like protect her sisters, or if she should follow them to try and figure out what is going on, and maybe if there's something shady about these balls that they're going to. Old one, the Selection series, it reminds me of that, because like the girls all, you know, dancing around, just having a good time when there's like destruction happening around them. But I'm really excited for this one. I'm hoping it's gonna be good. I haven't really heard anyone read this book or anything about it, but I picked it up at Barnes & Noble like a couple months ago, I think, and I just decided to pick it up off the shelf. It was just kind of a random grab for me, but I'm excited about it. Then we have Bright Young Women by Jessica Knoll. This book I had heard kind of mixed reviews about, and I hadn't grabbed it, been kind of on and off about it, and then even though it sounded like a book I would like, I was like talking myself out of it for some reason. And my mom ended up deciding to grab it, and she loved it, and she told me to read it. She let me borrow it. So I'm finally going to read it, and I'm really excited about it. And now that I've read the back again, I'm like so excited. I think it's going to be so good. I am like a true crime junkie. I listen to podcasts all the time, and I love thriller books. So I'm really excited for this one. I think it's going to be really good. This one is set in, I want to say it's set in like Florida. Yeah, it's set in Florida in 1978, and the serial killer has been terrorizing women, has been going to college campuses, like this sorority, I think, and he's been going to top sororities and just offing a ton of different girls. These 2 girls end up joining forces to kind of try and figure out who this guy is, and they're kind of defying the social justice system. And even though like cops and everybody, they're like trying to get them to not look into this and not investigate, they're like, no, we're going to seek justice, and like kind of going against like the world, because everyone is just kind of like realizing and like becoming fascinated by this serial killer. These girls are like, no, we're going to go against this, you know, justice system, and we're going to figure it out, because people aren't as worried about it as they should be with how this is happening, with how, you know, out of hand this is getting. So I'm really excited for this one. I think it's going to be kind of like dark, but also sort of witty, and I have a feeling that's how it's going to be. So I'm excited for this one, and I love anything true crime, so I love any like crime thriller books, so I'm excited for this. We have one that has kind of just been hidden on my bookshelf, but I finally picked this one up and I was like, I want to read this one. It is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry by Frederick Bachman. I haven't read a Frederick Bachman book in a minute, but I love his writing. I just love how immersive it is and how he kind of tells, like, he just is very good about putting you in the position of being the listener and writing in the style of like a good narrator. Like, you kind of feel like you're literally just sitting down and like somebody is telling you a story instead of like just being in the book, like you're physically reading the book. It feels like, oh, I don't want to put this book down because he's such a good storyteller and like I'm actually being told a story by someone, so I need to sit here and actually listen to it. Like, that's how good his writing is. I just love it so much, and I know that like I wouldn't want every book to be that way, but like he does it so well that when I read his books I'm just like so immersed. So this book follows Elsa, who is 7 years old, and she's just like kind of different. She's always grown up to be a little bit different, and her grandmother really fostered that. She's kind of just this crazy old lady who she's also Elsa's only best friend, and she essentially like tells her all these stories, these bedtime stories in the land of almost awake, and she just basically sets up like this fun storytelling for her granddaughter about how people are different and it's okay to be different. And after her grandmother ends up suddenly passing and Elsa's very upset, she ends up finding these letters that her grandmother had written for people that she's basically just wants to say sorry to. And Elsa ends up going out on this adventure, and she ends up in this apartment building where there's all of these different people of like different misfits that her grandmother had met, and she essentially just ends up on this fun little adventure that is kind of reminds her of the fairy tales that her grandmother had told her growing up. And I am just so excited for this book. I think it's going to be really cute, and I think it's going to have that same like comical writing, that comical like sarcastic writing style that Frederick Bachman has. And I'm really excited because I think the premise sounds good, but like knowing that it's his writing makes it sound even like I know it's gonna be even better than what I'm anticipating. So I'm excited for that one. Then we have a little fiction self-help sneak in there. The Body Keeps the Score, Brain, Mind, and Body in the Healing of Trauma by Bessel van der Kolk. This book follows basically what it says. It's based around how trauma affects your mental health and how in that your mental health can affect your physical health, and how your body basically holds the trauma that you experience in childhood trauma, in like veterans having, you know, PTSD, and how it can affect their families, and anxiety and social problems, childhood trauma, and how it just like your trauma can affect your physical body and reshape your health. So I'm really excited. I'm hoping that I will find some different tips and tricks to help me reshape my mind and affect my own physical health, because I know that my body is sore a lot, and I know that a lot of that can be based on your mental health, and your mental fitness can help your physical fitness and your physical health a lot. So I really want to read this and foster that side of myself a lot more, and I'm really excited for this one because it has been on my bookshelf for a long time, and I'm really excited to finally get to it, even if I don't finish reading it this month. Even just like reading a chapter a day. Hey, don't chew my books. My cat and books are like, sometimes he's fine, sometimes he's just, I don't know. But anyway, I think this one's gonna be really good. Then the next book I have is The Good House by Anne Leary. This is a contemporary fiction book about Hildy Good, who is this like townie. She's this lifelong resident of this small town community, and she is middle-aged, she's divorced, she's kind of just like I guess, sort of going through a midlife crisis, and she's basically just like, screw it, I don't care. And she ends up meeting, she kind of just feels persecuted by everyone around her, and she ends up meeting this friend in the town, Rebecca, who is kind of also just like a social outcast a little bit, and they end up meeting up and becoming friends and just like growing this bond together. And they kind of end up going through a lot of like town gossip and scandal and their own like different issues, and they kind of work together on those, I guess. And it says that this is a like dark comic novel that ends up taking a chilling turn. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I think that it's going to be really interesting, and it's going to have that kind of contemporary aspect, but I'm also excited to see like what twists and turns it could have towards the end. So I'm excited for this one. It's been on my shelf for a while. I'm assuming I thrifted it. I'm not sure where I got it, but it says it's a signed copy. So that's exciting. Always fun. I don't know much about Anne Leary or if I've read anything else by her, but I'm hoping it's going to be good. I love a good contemporary fiction, so I'm always down for that. Then last but not least, we do have Balzac and the Little Chinese Seamstress by Dai Suje. This is a story about romantic awakening and the magic of reading. It follows these two boys who are like little city boys. They end up being sent to this remote mountain village to be re-educated during the Cultural Revolution in China, and they end up meeting Uncle Taylor's daughter, and they uncover this hidden stash of Western classic books in Chinese translation, and they kind of just hole up and decide to read these banned books and like escape their very grim circumstances and escape into the world of reading. And I mean, like, isn't that what we're all doing? Like, we're all just going into our own little stories to escape whatever is going on in our real lives, or even just to enjoy a different world. Like, it's fun. So I think that this book is just going to be a good one to like read about these little boys enjoying reading and discovering the thrill of reading without it being like this educational standpoint. Like, they can just like read for the enjoyment of it. And I think this one's gonna be so good, and I'm really excited for it. This one has been on my bookshelf for so long, and I feel like better about compromising and like adding in books that I am really excited for and that I've really been anticipating, like newer releases or just books that I have been feeling that I want to read, and books that have been sitting on my shelf for a long time and collecting dust, because this one has been on my shelf for a long time, but I feel like a lot of the books on my shelves that have been on there for a long time, they kind of just fall through the cracks. And even though I obviously want to read them because they're on my shelves, but they kind of just slip past my attention because I don't really remember what they're about, or I'm not sure if they're the vibe. Whereas like other books that are newer, I kind of know more what they're about, and I maybe am like seeing other people read it, so I'm anticipating it more. But I still want to read these books. I don't want them to just sit on my shelf because then someone else could be reading them. And like, if I'm gonna like it, then I want to know. And if I'm not gonna like it, then I want to be able to obviously get it off my shelf and get it out there for someone else to read, so that I can make room for the other books. Because guys, I'm running out of room on my shelves, and it's seriously stressing me out. Like, I've been getting so stressed and then about all the books on my shelves, and then just like the past few weeks I've finally been like, oh, just read the books and you won't be so stressed about the books that you have. Like, you won't feel as bad and as like stressed out that you have so many books left to read and that you're not making progress on your reading and your TBR if you just read the books. And then like, even if you do have more books that won't fit on your shelf, at least you'll feel like, I'm trying, I'm reading these books, I'm just accumulating more. And that's okay, because you can never have too many books. Like, if anyone says that you can, they're wrong. So, oh my gosh, I have all my books on the bed. This is how I want to be too. I feel that, bro. That'll be it for this video. Obviously, I have no more books to show you, so what else am I supposed to do? Just sit here and stare at you in silence? Yeah, anyway, guys, that is gonna be it. I'm really excited for all these books. I think I want to try and finish Wool either today or tomorrow. I am kind of busy tomorrow going back to school shopping with my little niece, but Otherwise, I am gonna try and read to my absolute heart's content and get as many of these books finished as I can. I think after Wool, I definitely want to read Bright Young Women before I go on that trip with my mom so that I can get this book back to her. But also, like, I'm just so excited to read this one. I think it's gonna be so good. I'm excited for all of my books, actually. Like, they all just sound super good. I feel like I'm gonna have a great reading month. I actually just finished Remarkably Bright Creatures this morning by Shelby Van Pelt, and that book was stunning. It was so good. I listened to the audiobook. A lot of times I get in my head that, like, I should read the book physically instead of listening to the audiobook, but I feel like that one was such a good audiobook. So if you are, like, unsure if you should read it physically or not, I say that it is good. Audiobook approved. So yeah, I definitely recommend. I gave it a 4.5 stars and I think it was stunning. So anyway, like this video, enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up. And if you guys want to see more of my content, I will have other bookish videos. I am a huge fan of filming vlogs and posting those, but I also want to get a little bit more into short form content. So I have my TikTok link down below, my Instagram, all of that. And yeah, that's gonna be it for this video, but I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.